Thank you for joining us here at the Star Fox Media Small Business Sit Down. I'm joined here with my guest today, Mike Bricke from the House of Vista Skate Shop. Mike, thanks for coming on and sitting down with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we usually like to start off the show with your background, kind of like what did you want to be when you grow up? Like when you were younger, did you know this is what you wanted to do?
I don't think so, honestly. Like once I started skating, I was pretty confident that I wanted to keep skating.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually started like filmmaking and stuff like that too. So I wanted to keep those two things like hand in hand. And then as I got older, like having a retail store was always something I kind of like fantasized about, but never thought it would really be a reality. And then when that opportunity kind of became more real, just kind of like jumped on it and took advantage of it while I could, because I thought that window would close. So
yeah. Well, I mean, retail is definitely an interesting industry, especially at this time, and I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of that later. But so you started off, you were younger. You just, when did you start skating? Like that was
started skating when I was probably like 10, and at that time I was living in Maine. And my dad is in the military, so we moved around a lot. And my older brother always skated, and then I kind of just picked it up out there. But then when we moved to California, that was like really where I started like going to skate shops and buying skate videos, and realized this was like kind of what I wanted to do. But even at that young age, like you're kind of just doing, what you're magnetated towards. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that kids are really good at, is they like just kind of live for their passions, right? Like it's like, oh, I love skating. That's what I want to do. Like that's
Yeah. And I think that's definitely something that, people should nurture in younger kids for sure. Like if they have an interest early on, you should really try to pursue that with them, get involved and stuff.
And so basically, did you ever want to be like a pro skater, or did you already?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Like that was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I think until I was like 21, I probably like still thought I could do that. But once I started filming and stuff too, I kind of realized like this was like more of a realistic route.
Yeah.
That I could be involved in skating still, go out with my friends and document it, and then kind of make something out of that. And so I started following that route for a while, and then that led into like some freelance like videography work for a little bit. But once the like high definition stuff started coming into play, I kind of got like squeezed out, because I always stuck with like standard definition cameras and stuff. That. So
well, it's weird because like there's pros and cons to that, right? Like a lot of the cool like high def cameras have kind of come down in price, like a lot. Like so it's opened up. I mean, even phones having like really good cameras in them nowadays has opened up to a lot of like younger like people that want to be videographers or filmmakers who didn't have the opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's like when you have like your thing, it's like this is working. Like I love this kind of camera. I love this look, and
it just worked for what I was doing too.
Yeah.
Like shooting skateboarding.
Yeah.
For a while, until actually recently, like actually had to buy like a new camera and stuff recently. But that was like where I was like thought I would go down that route for a long time, and then the opportunity kind of came to open up a store, and we can get into that too, which was like that was a long process even leading up to that.
So. How standard def is standard def? Was it like 8mm film?
No, it was
like cassette tapes?
No, there were good cameras at the time.
Okay.
It was like a Sony VX1000.
Okay, cool.
That I was filming with, and I had like a Century Optics lens, which was like the epitome of like skateboard filming. But then as just like the times went, like TVs and the internet, like everything geared towards like high definition. Yeah. So after a certain amount of time, you're kind of like pigeonholing yourself as like this standard definition guy.
Yeah.
And the whole world is evolving.
Well, you get a look, right? You get a look that works for you.
And it does work. But then I think everyone acclimates to like the new stuff too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes it's nice to have something that like separates you and like keeps you different from the crowd. But I mean, when you're editing, you can get looks, right? Like
totally.
You can make a high def camera look like 8mm if you.
It's easier to dumb down footage than it is to like make
smarten it up.
Yeah, so that's really where it started getting like, okay, like you can make HD footage look like this, but you can't make the standard def look right to the quality of that. So it was just bound to happen, sort of, it's the way of the world. So
yeah, it's like I was holding out as long as I could,
kind of. Yeah. But with the freelance stuff, that's like where I kind of just was like, okay, I can't do this like commercial work as much anymore, because that kind of stuff needs that kind of
commercial look.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that makes sense.
it was fun while it lasted.
So how old were you when you started doing more of like the video work and stuff? Was that kind of in between pro skater and retail?
It was like during it was kind of like supplying my like skateboard career. Like, okay, I can make a little bit of money and then keep skating. But I probably started doing freelance stuff when I was like 19 until I was around 23, probably. Oh, so yeah,
a little young entrepreneur.
A little bit. I had a little experience with kind of like running my own business. To a sense, sending invoices and stuff like that. So
at least knowing that you have to pay your taxes every year. And
well, at the time I wasn't making that much money doing it, and I found out if you don't make like, I think it was like 8 or 12 grand a year through something that you don't have to pay taxes on that. So I was like, oh cool, I didn't make enough money, I don't have to pay taxes. But I had to get like side jobs and stuff. It was fun though. I was young, so yeah.
Well, okay, so then you were skating full time. What was like the spark that was like, you know what, I'm opening a store?
Like I said, like I always kind of dreamt about doing that. And even when I actually did open the store, I had people reach out to me like, I remember in school you told me you were going to open a skate shop one day. Yeah. And I was like, really? I don't remember ever saying that. but that's cool. Like I always thought about it. And the reality kind of came when I really heard that the city was going to build the skate parks and that it was really going to happen. And they had like picked the spots where they were going to be. So once I knew they were going to be on Santa Fe, I knew there was no skate shop in Vista, really. Like, there was a couple, but they were, like, really rinky-dinky. Not really, like, skater run or anything like that.
Right.
So I started, like, looking for spaces along Santa Fe that were within a couple miles of the skate park so kids could get back and forth.
Skate to the skate shop from the skate park.
Totally. And at the time, the city was, like, they hadn't even started this whole, like, beautification process that they did. So the block was like vacant. There was a bunch of empty buildings. I think the first place I called was like a weed dispensary, and the guy that I called was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. And he was really weird. So I was like, okay, like I kept shopping around. And finally I found the spot that we're in was like the third place I called. And so
were you just driving down looking at signs and like
pretty much,
I want this one.
Well, they're all vacant, and so I was like, I want that one, but there's no sign in it. And then I'd find another one that did have a sign, and it was like people wouldn't answer the phone. And then I found that one, and I got in touch with my landlord and just started that whole process. But I linked up with my brother, and at the time, I didn't have like any credit really. Yeah. But he was able to, so we partnered up because he could get the credit loan and kind of took it from there. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was no experience, just kind of like,
we're going to figure it out.
Pretty much, like, just like motivated to do it. Like, I know what I want to do, and I'm just going to try to make that happen. So.
Yeah. And so are you still partners with your brother today?
Yep. Yeah, it's just him and I still. So no investors, no one else, just him and me. So.
That's awesome. I mean, how's it working with your brother? Is it
great? He's like great to work with.
Yeah. Some siblings get along. Like I get along really well with my brother. We went to school together. We did all, we actually went to college together, like the same college at the same time. So it was like in the same, both business school. But
yeah, him and I were really tight when we were younger. And then when we got older, like he got into different things. He got kind of more legitimate with his life. Like early on, he got like real jobs right away. And then he got like his girlfriend and married her and all that. And,
did the white picket fence thing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can in Southern California, more like a apartment with Christmas lights on the balcony or something. But
the equivalent.
Yeah, yeah.
The San Diego equivalent.
Yeah, right. But so he was doing his thing, and then I just reached out to him, and our partnership works great because his strong suits are what I lack in. So it's like, and he lets me like kind of focus on the creative side of things, and he handles a lot of the bookkeeping and the business stuff. So.
Do you guys actually work in the store, like helping customers and stuff like that consistently?
I work in the store like 5 to 6 days a week. Yeah. So I'm there like all the time.
Yeah. Do you like that? Is that like part of the reason you like the shop is to work in it, or is
it? I definitely really enjoy it. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of times where I'm like, oh, I wish I was out skating or doing creative things with my friends. I see what everyone's doing on Instagram and I'm like, oh man, I'm just in this box.
Yeah, I know.
I'm used to it now. There was definitely like the first couple years I had like fear of missing out syndrome or whatever. And I'd be like, oh, they'd all meet up in my store and then go and do their thing. And then come back later and tell me how cool the day was.
You're
and
like,
I was like,
sick.
cool, yeah. And at that time too, we were like just starting. So I'd be like, yeah, I sold a board today. Like,
Oh man.
yeah, you know, so it's funny, but now I'm used to it and things, you know, have definitely picked up business wise too. It's a lot busier than it used to be.
Yeah, which I mean that makes it a little more exciting, right? When things are successful, you're like having a much better time.
Totally, yeah. And I've always enjoyed it. I love like seeing the whole community come in and like being a part of, you know, their skate culture and everything. So
yeah, and so like the process of actually setting up the store and getting this all, I mean, I'm sure it was a lot of work. I'm sure that you had, you know, buying inventory, doing all the retail things. So how was that process for you?
It was interesting. Like I said, I had no experience. I'd never worked in a retail store either. So I'd never worked in a skate shop. I just knew what I wanted from a skate shop. And so luckily I had friends that are in the industry too. And I'd been I'd been skating at like these there was different distributors around like Vista and Carlsbad that would like distribute like all these skate products. So I'd be around the industry sort of on that end, but on the retail side, I never had really worked that side. So I linked up with a couple friends of mine that were their reps for a couple different companies. Yeah. And he gave me like a little tour around San Diego. It took me to like 10 different skate shops, and he was like, I want you to check out these vibes and, you know, see what works there. I know you're not going to like this store, but check out this one too. And so that was really helpful. Without a couple of those guys' help initially getting started and opening up accounts and stuff like that, it would have been really difficult, for sure. So
I mean, but it's cool that coming from not ever working in that before, that you were able to, you know, at least you it's almost better to have been like, you know, your ideal customer. Because like one of the things in marketing we do is we always pick like, you know, design your ideal customer. Who would be the person that would come in and love it so much they'd tell their friends, like all that. So if you're that person, you know your customer very well.
And I just like know the vibe of skate shops too, where it's really vibey sometimes. Like it's like almost like how a record store is, where like if you don't know what you're looking for, you're almost scared to ask, sort of type of thing. So I knew that like I wanted to be like obviously skater owned, but I didn't want to have that like standoff vibe, like where if someone came in and be like, hey, what's up? Like, what can I help you with? And, you know, but also have like a real skate approach to it, and not like, oh yeah, here, buy this. You know, like actually tell them like, oh, maybe you could go with this or try that instead. Or
it's like, hey, like you like, so if you like, do you love working with like new skaters or people are just getting into it? And like,
I do. Sometimes like honestly, when someone comes in to the store and they're like, hey, I'm new to skating, I don't know anything about it. What do I need? It can either go both ways, where they're really like open to my suggestions, or they question everything. They're really like, I call them like mechanic clients, where they're like, well, what does that do? What does that do? What does that matter? And that and that. And I get those questions, but I'm like, as a skater, I'm like, it doesn't really matter that much,
like,
you know? Like
they make your board go.
Yeah, like if you're gonna like you're starting out, like you just need to learn.
Board go good. Like you know,
Because then like as you get like progress at skating, you go through your products so quickly that, you know, there are different things that have different advantages, but it's just, so there's the yin and yang to it, where I'm like, oh no, like how is this going to go? Like trying to point this person in the right direction. But with that said, even when a skater comes in, that's like a diehard skater, they can be kind of hard to deal with too, because they're so like diligent to what their style is and stuff, that you have to like work with. I don't know. It's all good though. I love the variety of it too. Yeah. So
it's nice. I mean, and I think like there's a little bit of that with new skaters. They're going to probably like, if you're in the weeds, right? You're like, no, just come out of the weeds for me really quick. This is a good beginner friendly board. Like, let's just get you seeing if you like this before you're spending, you know,
$200.
Yeah. On like on a board that you don't know what you want yet. Like, and everyone wants
that
different
you might
things.
Not even be into or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
So it's like, hey, this is really nice. It's beginner friendly.
Exactly.
Like, you know, it's a good middle of the road. So you can see if you want, you know, your trucks to be squishier, or you want your bearings to be faster, or whatever you know.
And that was like a cool learning process though too, like learning how to work with different customers and you know, like cater to what they're looking for and things like that. So, you know, that was definitely fun, and I love it too to this day. Like the different customers that come in, keeps the variety keeps you on your toes. So.
I feel like it's like one of my favorite things about this business, right? Is like in marketing and stuff. It's like I get to work with so many different kinds of businesses that I get to like learn about like, oh, I get to learn about retail today. Oh,
Hmm.
today I get to learn about like finance and like mortgages and like
Yeah,
and a lot of times we're writing blog posts, writing social media posts for them and stuff. So it's like you have to kind of know what you're talking about. So it's like a lot of research and stuff, but it's super cool to like learn about all the different industries and like how they all work and what their customers want to know about and all that kind of stuff. So I think that having something different and to being able to change up your day is just like it's necessary
totally.
to
I could
survive.
not survive in like a mundane like 8 to 5 like
Yeah.
see the same people every day type of thing. I love
Mm.
like getting to meet every different person.
Yeah.
Seriously, like skating, everyone skates, so you get to meet seriously from every different spectrum.
The full gambit.
Yeah, like the full rainbow. Like
Yeah.
you get to
Yeah.
meet everybody, boy, girl, like old guy,
Mhm.
dude just starting out. And skating's much more diverse now than it was
Yeah.
maybe 5 or 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Even 5 years ago when I opened the shop almost 6 years ago now. So
Mm.
skating changes a lot. So it's cool to see
Yeah.
the progression, and I love where it's at now too. So.
Yeah. That's cool. I've never been a skater myself. I was more into like bikes, I guess. I did like mountain bikes and going down hills and bombing jumps and stuff like that. But there was like a time when I was younger that everyone was a skater, I feel like. I mean, was that like a 90s thing or something? It was like,
I think, yeah, even when I was younger, everyone
Mhm.
was a skater too for like a little bit,
yeah,
but then they all, like a lot of people stopped.
yeah.
So,
Like I looked into it, like I was like, oh, maybe I can get into it. I got my first board, like I got all that stuff, and I was like, oh man, if I'm not attached to the board, I just fall off it. Like, I couldn't figure that part out. But like snowboarding, totally chill.
Yeah.
Can go down a
I
mountain,
think
no
even
problem.
like I see it in my customers, even like a lot of the kids, like they'll be regulars for like 6 months to a year, and
Yeah.
then I never see those kids again. And I'll see other kids that do know them, like, hey, what happened to so and so? And they're like, oh, he plays video games now, or he got a car, or he got a girlfriend, or
Yeah,
it's very typical of
Yeah.
like young people.
Yeah.
You go through a lot of different things. When
yeah.
you're
I
younger,
try out
so.
things, see what clicks, right? Like
Mhm.
you got to find that passion, right?
Mhm.
So.
It's cool to see the kids that stick with it,
Mhm.
and like kind of how skating kind of shapes their like lifestyle and stuff too.
Right.
So yeah,
It's super interesting.
yeah, it's very interesting.
And so you still do videography and
Yep,
and
we're
filmmaking.
about to put out a new video that I just filmed. It took a long time. Took about a year because of COVID and everything.
Yeah.
So it kind of jammed up the whole filming process. But
Right.
we're putting it out on Saturday, and then I think it's gonna be like on Transworld and Thrasher in the next like week or so,
Awesome.
a couple weeks. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I'm really excited.
So can you tell us a little bit about what it's about, or is it top secret?
It's we've been doing like a video series called Home Movies. So we did Home Movies 1 and 2, and now we're doing the third one, and it's just us skating. Like,
Yeah.
it's just all of our friends. This one is a little bit longer than the other ones, and it's just like montage-y. A lot of it is local this time. We didn't really get to get out, which is interesting because of COVID. Like a lot of things were shut down, but we kind of just like stayed around here for
Yeah.
the most part. So.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, it's kind of coming back to the roots and stuff, right? Because
Yeah, this one definitely is because it's like the last one we're doing with that camera that I was talking about, the Sony VX, or at least for now. And then it kind of like has like little shout outs to like our old projects in it too, for the people that are like paying attention to stuff like that. So
that's awesome. I mean, and so how is it basically running a store in like these times? Like, have you had to basically like shut down a lot
during
or
the
what's-
pandemic,
Yeah.
it was scary for a little while. It
Mhm.
was when it first started happening. I didn't know what to do really. So and then once like the restrictions started getting put into place and stuff like that, we just kind of like rolled with it like day by day and followed every protocol that we could, took every extra precaution. Anything that we could do, we did it times 10.
Yeah.
Even now, like we still only let a certain amount of people in the store, and
Mhm.
of course you have to wear a mask.
Mhm.
We were very fortunate though too, being in retail and
Mhm.
not being a place like a barber shop or like
Right.
a bar or a restaurant where
Yeah.
they really got shut down hard. And
Mhm.
I know people that lost their businesses in San Diego, and
Yeah.
it was really uncertain. But then skating, all of a sudden, it boomed too.
Yeah.
Like everyone started because they couldn't do anything else. So like Little League was canceled. You know, everything was canceled. Summer, any sport was canceled. The beaches were shut down.
Yeah.
So I had people come in and they got their stimulus money.
Yeah.
So they had extra spending money, and they'd come in and it'd be like this dad and like his 3 kids, and he'd be like, you know what? I'm getting her aboard. I'm getting him aboard. I'm getting him aboard. I'm getting me aboard. We're all going skating this summer.
That's
and
awesome.
I was like, oh man, all right, cool.
That's
so
sick.
We had a big like influx in sales, but then the backside of that is the distributors. They all started running out of product, and then they couldn't get stuff in because of a lot of like stuff comes from China, stuff comes from Mexico. These factories were getting shut down, and then that started getting really scary because we started running out of product, but people still wanted it, and it was really gnarly. Honestly, there was times where I didn't know what to do, and just by like luckily reaching out to the right person, I got connected with someone, and they could get me product, and we got through it. So
yeah, it's like I got decks, I got trucks, I got wheels, no bearings.
Exactly. And then it would be the next week, we have bearings, we got wheels, we got trucks, we got no decks. And then it'd be like, we have no grip. And it was like that for like 4 or 5 months. It's even still like that right now. Like this year is going to be jammed up big time.
It's funny how that's kind of worked. Like my girlfriend got into roller skating. That was kind of like, you know, that was the thing that was going, like got
I
also
had so many
up.
people calling me for roller skates that I was like, dude, we should maybe like open up a little roller skate thing because, you know, let's make some money. Like,
it's a big thing.
People are asking for it. Like, I mean, I could flip flop on this where I'm like, well, if someone's asking for it and I tell them no, like, I feel like there's an issue with that too. Like, I should be carrying stuff that people are looking for. So.
Well, I mean, but if someone came by and asked you for a sandwich, you know, it's like.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like.
If it's close enough.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's close enough.
Well, I think it's important to be in brand, right? You know, like, you know your brand, you know your customers and who's there and stuff.
I probably wouldn't carry roller skates in the skate shop.
Yeah, you know, so, you know, that's kind of how it is, though. It's like you don't want to alienate your, you know, your skate customers with something else. I mean, if they don't care, if you feel like that's the brand, it's in brand to do it, like people wouldn't feel it weird, then yeah, add it. But
I just don't know anything about it too, so that's kind of my rule of thumb.
Right.
Like, if I don't know about it, I'm just gonna stick to what I do know, which is skateboarding. Yeah. And just it's working, so I'll just focus on that.
For sure. Yeah. It's like sometimes people try to spread themselves too far, right?
Totally.
And add a bunch of things.
I almost did that. I kind of have done that a couple of times during this whole process. I got so excited with opening the business that I was like, let's do more stuff. Let's try to open a coffee shop, or let's try to do this. Yeah. Coffee shop's a nightmare. Anyone that's doing that, shout out to the guys at Steel Mill, because that is a gnarly industry. It's just a gnarly startup, and those guys are killing it. So shout out to Shay and Riley and all those guys.
Yeah, sure. I mean, maybe we'll have to have them on someday.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because I mean, that is, you're right. It's basically you put all the things together. It's like manufacturing, it's food, it's retail.
It's a lot. Yeah, there's so
everything
much
at
different
once.
Stuff. Yeah, so skating and retail, it's like hang the board up on the wall. It's pretty simple. You know? Pay your taxes. Yeah. Get your business license, get your reseller's permit, you're good to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I guess it adds a couple more dimensions to it, I guess.
Definitely. Handling food. More so what I found out was like the disposal of stuff too. There's so much stuff you don't think about.
And like, I think one of the hardest things for that industry is knowing how much to order, because things go bad. It's like retail where your stuff expires. It's like, you know, so if you order
coffee is like pretty
hardy.
Yeah, you know, like grind the bean.
Yeah. I think that like a lot of times when you grind it though, if you don't use it like within like a day or two, like, you know, it's stale.
Yeah, totally.
And like, you know, you have to grind. You don't want to be grinding all day, but you don't want to be like throwing out coffee at the end of the day. So it's like there's a lot of weird like inventory things with that, which I'm sure you have inventory problems too, right? Is like you think this is going to be sick. You order a bunch of it. And then,
that happens a lot. A lot of times with shoes. Like shoes are like, they're tough. And it's like a good industry because you make good profits off of selling shoes. But if you get something that doesn't sell, you just have 12 boxes of shoes taking up space in the back.
And I mean, like sizing and stuff too. Like I'm sure that like,
too,
like, oh, these shoes are sick. And then you get them. And then like, you know, oh, it turns out people that have size 12 feet don't like these shoes.
Exactly.
This model. They like, don't like this brand.
Or so you sell like the one size and then everyone still wants that one size. You're like, dang, I should have just got like a bunch of 9s and 10s.
Yeah. Turns out.
Like,
But that's something that I think is a learning curve, right?
Totally it is.
And you dial it in.
Yeah. And there's always like that cost of doing business too, you know? So, we save that stuff for like Black Friday and things like that, and have
just
like
drop it on for
blowout sales and stuff like that, just to like clear our inventory.
Cost, get it out.
Pretty much. Yeah. Sometimes we even sell it for a loss, you know, if we have to.
I mean, it's better than taking up space, and
it's kind of, our store is pretty small. The back stock is pretty small, so.
Almost think about the product renting space on your shelf, and it's like, you know,
Totally
you got to pay the rent for that space, and if it's not selling, then it's, you know.
Totally is.
But yeah, so, and I mean, it sounds like, you know, you're getting through it though, and you're
through the pandemic and stuff. Yeah, we are. Like I said, this year I'm a little worried about, because there's still like this trickle over effect of like, it's tough to get product still. And people get mad at you when you don't have product.
Yeah. So, like, I want to have product.
Yeah, dude, like, that's what I tell them. Like, dude, I'm not trying to like pull one over on you. Like, you know, if I could get it, I'd get it. And I
like,
want
you think I don't want to have like trucks in my skate shop? Like, you think I like this? Like,
So, but like I said, dude, there's some shops that were in really tough positions, and we were lucky that we got in contact with the people that we did, and we were able to get the stuff that we could. And we were doing bigger orders than we've ever done, which was kind of cool too, because it like, my thought process with like how COVID and it's affected like a lot of like businesses, it's either like sink or swim, you know, where it's like, this was either you were already like kind of going on the downhill, and this kind of just sealed the deal for that, or this kind of made you jumpstart into like the next like thought process of business, and like we're doing bigger orders and having more inventory and things, which is really cool. I was always scared to, you know, spend more money on product and stuff like that, but in the long run, it's helped us out a lot. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think you're right on. It's like, there was a lot of things, like I think there was a Macy's that just went out of business near down in UTC, I think, or like that's moving out or something. And it was like, and I was talking to someone, and they're like, yeah, no, they probably just expedited it, right? Like COVID they were already kind of like not doing too well
too. Cause I knew like a couple pizza restaurants that closed down, and people were like, they were like petitioning to keep it open, and the people were like, no, like we're closing.
Yeah.
Like, know, and I'm like, this is probably like, they've been at it for like 20 years, and this is, you know, this is the final nail in the coffin. So. Yeah.
And there's other businesses like Amazon just absolutely destroying, you know, and it's like, there's so certain things like, you know, there's opportunities for some, and, you know,
I feel bad for people though that like are like struggling for stuff like that. And then, cause then there's people on the other hand that are just like having the best years.
Yeah, they're
sales,
raking it in.
You know what I mean? So it's crazy, the yin and yang and the different sides of the tracks almost in that regards.
I mean, that's kind of, I mean, it's one of those things where like business is really about being flexible and being able to like, you know,
totally
like pivot.
Well, we were lucky too. Like I don't have that much overhead, and as far as like, I don't have that, like I have like one employee, and it's me and my brothers. Yeah. And so it's not like I had to lay people off or go through like any of those kind of struggles. So
yeah, we had our one of my friends came on, I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 podcasts ago or something, and he'd worked with Supercuts, and so I had a bunch of Supercuts franchises, and they were talking about how they had to lay off all their employees and stuff like 3 times or something because of this. Like they'd open up, hire everyone back, and then like 2 weeks later, be like, nope, never mind.
And that's got to be so tough for, you know, the people going to work and then getting told like, oh no, you're out of a job again, and you know, like what
off and on unemployment. Like, just that paperwork is like, you know, I'm gonna go through that like every other week. Like, so yeah, I think, you know, there's things to be grateful for and thankful for, and then there's, you know, but then it's not easy, right? It doesn't make things easy. There's always that supply issue, so it's like pros and cons, right?
Totally.
So
yeah.
So other than, do you have any more video work coming in the works?
Not yet. I mean, we'll keep skating and filming.
Yeah.
But
taking a break from the release.
I mean, I got that new camera, so I'm trying to figure out how to use it now. Yeah. And work on some like more like HD projects. Probably just some small.
What'd you get?
I got a HPX 170.
Okay, I've heard of that, but I have never used one.
It's old. Like even when I'm looking up videos on how to use it on YouTube, I'm like, well, this was uploaded 10 years ago. This camera's old.
Yeah.
But it's super good. It's like a lot of people use it for skating.
Yeah.
A few of my friends have it, so that's kind of why I got it, so we could shoot and like it'd be compatible, you know. So
yeah, we do a lot of video work here. So that's one like I have a Blackmagic camera, and then Sean, our videographer, has these Fujis that are in the room. Yeah, but he has 3 that match, you know, so it's like for the podcast, super easy. it's like, you know, the color correction, everything, just set them all to the same settings.
Yeah,
You're
keep it all
golden.
in sync. Yeah, totally.
lot less in post and editing. So
Yeah, but I want to like get like other kids involved in video projects because I do a lot of the shooting and editing myself, and I want to like reach out to like the younger kids that are doing that stuff too, and give them a platform for the shop, and like we should like film each other, and like we'll put it on our YouTube, and you know, do a little cool thing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think that'd be a cool thing to put together, like make the next generation of
keep them hyped and keep them going. You know?
Skaters and videographers.
Oh yeah,
filmmakers.
Totally. Yeah, it's cool seeing kids because skating and filming and photos, and music, it all goes like hand in hand. So skating is just a really creative thing, and it opens up a lot for these creative kids. Like one of our little riders, his name's Lyric, and he is like the coolest. He's 13. He's like the most creative kid I know. He can play guitar and he makes claymation videos. He skates really good, and he does art, and he's just like, it's just so cool. Like I love seeing like the creative side to all these kids and what they can do outside of skating too. Right. Like I think he's gonna have like a future in anything he wants to do. Yeah. So
you can just tell those talented people. You know, they're
super cool.
Go-getters, really talented. Like, you know,
there's kids like that are filming, like this kid Kevin. He's super dedicated. He asked me like, "What do I want to be a skateboard filmer? What do I need to do?" And I'm like, "Just keep doing it, man. Just stay focused.
It's what it takes.
Yeah.
So you just got to keep doing it till it works.
Yeah. Just
you learn
keep filming, meet people, and you'll be surprised where just that will take you. Just having passion and dedication, and just knowing what you want to get to. Yeah. You know, you'll be surprised like how that'll get you there.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to get into, you know, I guess just broader the retail industry, like what advice would you give them like on how to start this up?
Well, I only have experience in the skate shop. So if someone was looking to actually, no, that's not totally true because now like I started renting these other units that were connected to my building, and then I kind of subletted them to friends of mine that were doing their own, like one of them, he does custom alterations, and he has his own private label with that too. Oh, cool. So people come in and they bring him shirts and stuff like that. And then next door, we're working on trying to do like an emporium is what we're calling it. It's like a secondhand kind of like trade buy sell type of thing. Yeah. But we're trying to get that dialed. That's all still like super in the works. Yeah. But I would just say, because those guys are doing stuff I don't know anything about those industries really, and they're all just really dedicated and really passionate about what they're doing. So I think that's first and foremost, like knowing what you want to do and being driven and like kind of, you know, having the like being brave enough to go for it too. Yeah. So
I think that's the biggest thing for people is people stand in their own way, right?
Yeah, like, and knowing when the time is right, jumping on those opportunities when the time is right, and also networking, like reaching out to people in whatever industry you're looking at doing, and learning as much about it from different people, even if it's not the way that you want to do it. Yeah. I think that information goes so much further than like schooling. Like if you, you know, and I'm not trying to bash on schooling or anything, but like,
no, you can bash on schooling. I went to college, and like, you know, it was like, college was, I don't use any of the things I learned in college, and I was a marketing major, and I'm a marketing professional. So they taught me how to think about things, right? But like there was no like direct skill.
That's the biggest problem with school.
So if people like,
especially with stuff like that, I'm like, why aren't there like more like internship?
Yeah, and that's
programs.
That's the biggest.
I know
thing
that's stuff that you kind of got to do on your own.
Yeah,
and those students that do that stuff on their own are like exceptional.
I did 2 internships when I was in college. Like I did one, like I did them back to back, and one of them turned into my film job, and then you know that turned into me going up and going from an intern to basically now I'm a co-owner. So you know what I mean. So it's like those are the opportunities that come from those kinds of things. But if people just go to school and think that's enough, no, it's not. No, it's like you need to have the knowledge and the experience, because the experience tells you what knowledge is important. If you don't have the experience, you don't know what you know, like what you know is important and what isn't, and you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And that's the big problem with it. Is like, I think there's a great place for college if you take it for what it is and add what you need.
Totally. Yeah. It's definitely like a recipe, you know, you gotta like, it's not just like the one component. Yeah. You gotta have like the other parts to it.
And
sure.
I don't think there's anything you learn in college that you couldn't learn on YouTube or on the internet.
Nowadays, well, in certain fields for sure.
Yeah.
Like marketing or maybe stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to be a neuroscientist or something.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? For
teachers.
most industries, I'd say, you know, you can probably learn it online as easy. But there's a big population that isn't going to take the time to sit there for a year and watch 10,000 hours of YouTube videos on marketing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like it's a structured thing that makes you learn it, I guess, which is good. But other than that, like if you're a self-starter and you think you can, you know what you want to do and you want to learn about it and you're passionate enough and driven enough to learn it on your own, like you're going to be more powerful than the college graduate for sure.
Yeah, you definitely have like a little more like gusto kind of going, sort of.
For sure.
You have a little more like direction because you know what you want to do. Like, I feel like I don't want to get on a school tangent, but I feel like a lot of students are like waiting to be like told where to go or like directed in what to do. And like, you need to kind of like have that focus. Like,
it's like they graduate and they're like, job, please.
Sort of.
Where's my job?
Yeah.
I graduated. It's job time.
Yeah.
And it's like,
so I was pretty, I mean, I went to like some years of community college, but, once I like was focused on doing the skate shop, I've kind of just like focused on that.
Yeah, because I mean, you can focus and learn specifically what you need to do your skate shop.
Yeah,
I know what I want to do.
And the timing thing again, like I thought that was like really important. Some days I think about that where I'm like, man, if I tried to do that now, like I started the shop when I was 25.
Yeah,
and I was like, if I try to do that now, I'm 31. I don't know if I have the energy. I don't know if I'm just tired from working so much, or if like I just am getting older, but like I'm like, I don't know if I could do that right now again. Like I was in a different mind state then. So
I wonder if that's common. I don't know very many people who start stores in their like, you know, mid-20s or lower like that. That's pretty young to start a store.
I think it was pretty young, but at the time I was like super ready. And I still like at the time I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I still think that too.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah. But like going to the city, like I had no experience. I went with my dad and I was like signing these, like filling out these forms, and they were asking me like, how much money do you think you're going to make a month? And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, how much money I mean, how many people, but I was like $500 a month.
Yeah.
And my dad looks at me, he's like, $500 a month.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't even pay half your rent with that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah.
No, that's a good point.
But I was just not expecting, you know, really anything. I was like, this is just what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make it work, you know? So, I was pretty young though, but, like I said, like I felt ready, and I was like young enough to make mistakes and be able to learn from them and not have them like destroy me too. Yeah. So
that's awesome. Well, usually the thing we like to wrap up with is like, you know, what's the next step for the House of Vista? What's the next step for Matt? What's, you know, Mike, as I said, for Mike, sorry.
It's all good. Next steps for the shop. It's, we're just going to stay focused on what we're doing for sure. Keep the path going. Now that the city has it's pretty much done with the beautification process and the road and everything. Like that's really exciting. Yeah. That, we have a sidewalk again. There was seriously like a year that we didn't have a road in the front, a sidewalk in the front. So that was another thing that I guess I should touch on, where even before COVID, like all the businesses on this street have been going through hell for a long time. That
is true.
We were basically trying to, the city, it felt like the city was trying to squeeze us out. You know, I don't want to talk bad about any, you know, people in the city, because a lot of them do great stuff, but it felt like they didn't want these buildings here anymore, and they wanted to try to get rid of as many as they could, build these, what are they, like commercial stores on the bottom, and then their low income housing on the top, a lot of stuff like apartment buildings on the top. Yeah. And if you look at a lot of those places, they're all empty. Yeah. You know, even like the new apartment up the street, like the rent is so expensive and stuff like that. But anyways, just forever, the construction, and I know like now we're going to benefit from it, but for a long time, it was a big hindrance.
It was like you had to make it through the...
Dude, we're if we didn't have our back parking lot, gauntlet, I think we would have gone out of business. Yeah. For sure. And there was other people that were struggling with the same thing too. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because Santa Fe, the whole road was closed, right?
For a long time.
Yeah, I was like, I had to go around Eucalyptus to get here, so I was like,
and it would redirect you like to the back, and even that was jammed up. And
wasn't really made to be a main road.
Not at all. So yeah, that whole, and then that led right into COVID. So even during that time, like it was, you know, we're under a pandemic, we're under construction. It was a hectic year for sure. So
yeah, I think they also have something where if you make the front of your building nicer, there's some funds for it or something like that built into it? Or
There was I heard stuff like that, but we didn't hear, like, no one reached out to us about anything like that. So I mean, we're not the property owners too.
Oh, right.
So we're just renting it.
Yeah, you're not going to put a bunch of money into a building that you don't own.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to make it prettier.
Yeah, you're like, hey, hey, landlord.
Yeah, they're like, my landlords are great.
Yeah,
but they live in LA, so they're like, they're not around very much.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, next we just want to focus on the new scenery in front, and like keeping the store filled with product, getting through this next year with the pandemic still going on. Once that's over, we want to start doing events again. We used to do a lot of events in the parking lot. We'd
events,
have barbecues.
I miss those days.
Play videos and have skate jams, all kinds of stuff like that. And that really separated us from a lot of other shops. Yeah. Nobody else was really doing that.
Yeah.
Having a back parking lot is amazing. We're able to utilize it to the fullest, and we're looking forward to doing that again. And from there, just like I said, just kind of stay the path. I don't want to think about expanding too much because I feel like I'll lose sight on what's going on in the moment. So
is there going to be a house of Oceanside, or like, you know?
People have asked me that.
Yeah.
Where would you build another one? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I would, because I feel like that might take away
for sure
from what I'm doing. But who knows what the future holds? It would be awesome to have multiple stores and have, you know, being involved with the different scenes in different places. But being from Vista, you know, I've lived here for 21 years. I skate here. I live right up the street, and I work here. Yeah, I'm focused on this community right now. So
once again, it's a great community. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, I love the people in Vista. They're awesome. So
I know, and I love the. I mean, it's unfortunate that, you know, how like streets getting shut down and stuff like that, but I do love the idea of, like, you know,
it looks so great.
Yeah, like the downtown Vista Village area is, like, you know, super nice now. When the streetlights
first came on, I was like, oh my god, that is so cool.
So nice.
And I'd be so excited about it, posting it on Instagram, and people were like, isn't that normal to have like a sidewalk and a parking lot?
You'd think.
You would think that, yeah. I was like, look at these parking spaces in the front. This is so cool. Like,
yeah, people could just like park and come in.
And walk on the street and sit down on the bench right there, and the lights come on at night. And even though there's not that many people walking on the street yet. But
there will be.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah.
Maybe it's a COVID thing. I don't know.
It might be that too. Yeah, it could definitely be that. Yeah.
And so if people wanted to find you on the internet or come into your store, could maybe for the people who are listening, like, how would they find you?
You can find me on the internet at, on Instagram at like the House of Vista. That's our handle. So the House of Vista, or we have a website. We're actually trying to update our website, but it's the House of Vista at bigcartel.com. You can find us in location at our store 7 days a week. Yeah, which is on 637 Santa Fe Avenue in Vista. Come by. We got the front door open.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And we have a YouTube channel too. The house, I think it's the House of Vista.
Cool.
So YouTube / the House of Vista. So find our videos on there. Our Instagram is always updated with product and content and stuff like that.
Do they have your old films on the YouTube channel, or do you...
Some of them, but mostly it's like new stuff. Yeah. When I started the shop, like all the stuff that's related to the shop. Yeah. So I do have a bunch of old videos, but they're on.
And if someone wanted to watch the original films you made, where would they find 1 and 2?
You gotta find them.
You gotta find them. Yeah, a DVD only in our store. No?
Yeah, DVD for purchase only. Yeah, at the House of Vista.
Exactly. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming in and taking the time to sit down. And I hope the best for the House of Vista.
Cool.
And everyone come on and go and visit them and buy some skateboards.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah. Thanks.